were on mine like drill bits, despite the amiable banter. I parked on the riverside of Avenue D at 3rd Street, directly across from a Puerto Rican bodega. We were kitty-corner from the turn-of-the-century 5-story apartment building where the CI lived, in the heart of what was called, in Spanglish, Loisitas, the Hispanic section of the Lower East Side. In the last 10 years, gentrification had begun transforming the neighborhood into an anglicized bastion of low crime and overpriced apartments and shops. There were still holdouts, though, who insisted on sitting on their stoops well into dark in the summertime and cooking plantains and garlic with all the windows open. Paul and Andrew got out of the car, promising me they'd be gone only 10 minutes, 20 at most. They crossed Avenue D, pausing once to talk outside the entrance to the building. Undercovers do this thing where they learn to talk with their mouths barely moving, so that anyone watching can't read their lips. I smiled, observing my older brother, his arms crossed in front of his chest, dancing from one foot to the other to counter the bitter cold. His face, even at 25, still had some of the round curves of his boyhood. I was 4 years younger than him, but taller, with more sharp angles to my face, and to my personality. But he was still my protector against all threats, foreign and domestic. I could tell from his impatient gestures what he was trying to say to his partner. Let's get this over with. At that moment, Paul's gaze locked onto mine. He was good-looking in a terrifying sort of way, with his jutting cheekbones and hatchet-like chin, wearing a snow-dusted sheepskin coat that would have set me back 6 months in tips at the restaurant where I worked, along with pale, acid-wash jeans. The corners of his lips curled upward, revealing the strong white teeth of a predator. A fleeting protective instinct made me want to call Andrew back to the car, to tell him to return with me to Brooklyn, leaving his partner to do whatever he was going to do. But Paul had already put a proprietary arm around Andrew's shoulders and was guiding him toward the entrance. They buzzed someone on the intercom and disappeared into the building. I turned up the volume on the radio, pulled the heavy academy textbook onto my lap, switched on my pen light, and started reading. Corruption and Incident Complaints. In this course, students will examine the department's complaint reporting system, the backbone of the CompStat process. I reviewed the proper techniques for filing complaints for bias-motivated incidents, threats to witnesses, police impersonation. When I looked at the clock, 10 minutes had passed with no sign of Andrew or Paul. The woozy rain had turned to an icy sludge, the droplets on the windshield becoming hardened crystals. For the millionth time that month, the radio station started playing 1999 by Prince. So I turned the dial until I caught a Britney Spears song, Baby One More Time. My loneliness is killing me, I sang along with the track, my mind on Carla, my fellow cadet. Sweet, sweet Carla, who had "Frisk Me" written all over her smile. It was getting cold in the car. I maxed the heater, tilted the seat back, stared at the building across the street. On the 2nd floor, in a brightly lit apartment closest to the corner, a little girl was standing at the window, the frame a tall, golden rectangle, set into the exterior crusted with a century of grime. Her pajamas were yellow, the ebony hair springing in tightly coiled ringlets atop a dewy, round face. She was patting the window gently with both hands, her mouth open with laughter, fascinated by her breath ghosting on the glass. I waved to her, but I was too far away, and the interior of the car was too dark for her to see me. A full 20 minutes had passed. In all of the information packed into the 400 pages of the Police Academy textbook, there was nothing about the crushing boredom of the stakeout, the bane of undercovers everywhere. The little girl in the window had turned her back to me. I could see that she was standing behind sheer curtains. Vague, dark shapes moved beyond the gauzy fabric. Adult-sized shadows were floating through the interior of the apartment. Now fast, now